Hi, this is Andy from My Dying Bride, and you're listening to What's Metal.
Yeah, and this is Aaron, the singer of My Dying Bride. Hope you enjoy the show.
How was the tour so far?
It's been interesting. So many bands on it. It's a bit chaotic at first, but things are settling down now. The shows have been quite good. Considering how many bands have to get on and off stage, it's I don't know. We're so used to touring now. It's like it's just another tour. But the shows are always well, we enjoy the shows, but it's just another mad tour to be on. Go around and have fun in Germany.
Are there other differences to a normal tour?
Yeah, it is chaotic because there are 6 bands on stage, and they've all got to move their own equipment on and off stage all day. For us, we sound check first at about 2 p.m. and then we sit here all day doing nothing until 11:40 in the evening. So normally we don't spend that much time doing nothing. So there's a lot of sitting around, there's a lot of equipment being moved. It's chaos. It's much more chaotic than an ordinary show. So, but it's quite nice to do. It's nice to sort of work under pressure from time to time. So I think we're enjoying it.
And how long will you play tonight?
I think it's about an hour and 10 minutes. Sometimes the shows can start to run over a little bit, and sometimes someone will come on stage doing all that stop business, and in which case we'll end the show a bit earlier. But normally, I mean, we have enough music to play for an hour and a half, but most of the time, it gets very late, so we finish after about an hour and 10 minutes, yeah.
Do you have still older and faster songs in your program?
Not the really fast ones because, well, we don't have time to do them. But we have brought back a couple of old songs for people who, like that kind of stuff. We've actually brought back Symphonaire Infernus, which is one of the first songs we ever wrote. We thought that'd be interesting to see, if people know it, see how it would go down. We haven't played it for a long time. I think Aaron said it was 10 years the other day, but that's not quite true. So it's good. We like that song. We've always liked that song, and it's good to play it again, and see the people's reaction to the people who have only just discovered My Dying Bride through like Gods of the Sun don't know this kind of stuff. So it lets them know that we have a past, and it gives them a brief insight into it.
Is it right that you painted the original My Dying Bride logo with your mouse?
Yeah, actually it was. I was really into the underground scene, and everybody had crazy logos that you could never read. And so we wanted to have a crazy logo as well that nobody could read, but I couldn't do any graphic art. So I thought it might be an interesting idea to get a big, thick marker pen, and I just put it in my mouth. Obviously I was drunk, and I just wrote My Dying Bride, and that's how the logo started, and that's how it's always been.
Is it right that you already also made the covers for your older outputs?
I've done a few, yeah. The first cover I did was the Thrash of Naked Limbs EP. Then I did Turn Loose the Swans, and I Am the Bloody Earth, The Angel in the Dark River. But I didn't do the new one. We let a friend of ours do that instead. But yeah, I enjoyed doing them. I'll probably do the next one, or even the one after. I don't know yet.
What is the typical songwriting process?
It changes. Well, the way I like it, let's start there, is I like the lyrics to come first, and then I will read the song, and then I can, in my mind, picture what the song should sound like. But that sometimes doesn't happen, and what will... Martin, he plays guitar also, so he will, he has a 4-track recording studio at home, same as myself, and we just start with riffs and ideas, and then bring them to each other, at the rehearsal, and say, what do you think of this? What can we do with this? The good stuff, or the stuff we like, gets used. The stuff we don't like gets laughed at usually, and then we leave it. But it's very simple. There is no great mystery to writing a song. It's just, if you like it, you can do it. It's as simple as that. And we just get together and practice, get the drums right, and then build everything else on top.
Are you still satisfied with your older outputs?
I think if you ask any person in a band, he will say, to a certain degree, yes, but if he had chance, he would go back and change it. I'm happy with them, but if I could go back, I would do things differently, slightly. But that's just experience, you know, which you can't have. You know, experience comes through time. We have learnt a lot through touring and being in the studios the length of time that we have. And we don't make those same mistakes. You know, you don't make them twice. But I would say generally, yes, I'm happy with everything we've done, especially the latest record. I don't see anything on that I would change. But you ask me that same question in 1 year's time, and it will be a different answer.
And what is the reason for changing your sound from a depressive mood to a more straightforward sound?
Well, it was something that wasn't planned. It's just the way we've developed over the last few years. We didn't decide, let's end the real doomy, depressing songs and let's start writing some more up-tempo songs. It was nothing like that. It just happens to be this is a phase we're going through at the moment. We like writing songs of this nature. The next album could be completely different. The next album could have death metal vocals in it. It could be a lot faster. It could be a lot slower. We have absolutely no idea.
Also, the lyrics are not so easy to understand. What are they about?
Well, I actually think the lyrics are easier to understand than any of the lyrics I've written in the past. In the past, I used lots and lots of poetry, old English poetry, and a lot of people found them very, very difficult to understand. But now I think I just write what I feel now with less poetry, and I think they're easier to understand. But really, the subject matter has pretty much stayed the same since we formed. It's songs that I write about are religious songs, sexual songs, songs about bereavement, things like that, really. I suppose you could say typical doom subjects, nothing special, really.
Some time ago you said that you won't play open air gigs, and so we cannot expect you on one of the summer festivals.
I think we may have been misquoted there. We don't like doing the open air gigs, but you know, we have played some bizarre places in our time, so an open air gig is not out of the question. We prefer that the indoor gigs because you can get a better atmosphere for the music. The open air gigs, every band looks the same. You know, there is no presence to each band until it becomes dark. And where we played I think it was the Walled Rock a couple of years ago, it was daylight, and we had never played in daylight before, and it was very, I don't know, strange to be standing on stage with the wind blowing, you know, and the birds just flying past, and you're trying to create this atmosphere, and it just can't be done because the sun was shining. I mean, that's not My Dying Bride. So we didn't enjoy it. We enjoyed the gig, but ideally we prefer to play inside in the dark. But we don't turn gigs down just for a reason like that. We're not that stupid.
And what will be the next release in the future for My Dying Bride?
I'm not sure. There's talk of us doing another album this year, but that's unlikely. I think we may... In fact, I know we will start writing new material this year, and the album will probably be out early next year, I would have thought. But so we haven't even started writing. We've been on the road since the album was released. So we have no ideas about any kind of sound or anything. The album, as I mentioned before, the album could be really fast, it could be really slow, it could be anything. So... apart from that, I mean, there's nothing. I don't think there's no My Dying Bride material coming out now until possibly beginning of '98.
Nowadays, it seems to be a trend to work with an orchestra. Is this also interesting for My Dying Bride?
It's an interesting idea, but I don't think My Dying Bride... If it is a trend now, we will definitely not follow it. It's as simple as that. We try to distance ourselves from other bands and the trendy scene. We are not a trendy band. We hate the idea of being in the same, you know, we hate the idea of there may be another band similar to us. So we always try to be, I don't know, try a little bit different, but we won't be going into the realms of Therion or anything like that, or the Ryan for that matter. We won't be using an orchestra. We like the idea, we think it's a good idea, but we won't be using it. I think we prefer the unit as it is now, because we also have another policy where if we cannot do it on stage, we don't do it in the studio. So everything we have on CD can be done almost exactly 99% of the time done live, and an orchestra. Well, as we have seen on this tour, you cannot take a full orchestra on a tour with this kind of budget, so it would mean some of your songs maybe have to be left out, some of your better songs. Whereas with My Dying Bride, because we know we can do it live, we could play any of our songs. It's just a matter of when we are in England rehearsing them and getting them ready for the tour.
If you compare the days of the beginning of My Dying Bride with today, what are the biggest differences in the band?
I think we have beards now. When we started the band, we were very young. We didn't have beards. And I don't know. Your attitude changes when you are just starting the band. Everything is very exciting. You know, going on tour is exciting. But now it's. I don't like to say routine, but we know what to expect now. So it is not as exciting. It is still very, it's better than working. It's still a good job to have. But it's just experience. I think the biggest thing that has changed is the band's experience. We now know, that you can't go on tour for 2 months and just get fucking drunk every night, because you just can't play properly. We did that in the beginning, and we go home and we're almost dead, complete wrecks. So we have just learnt a lot,
We're older and wiser.
Older and wiser, yeah.
I don't know much about the British scene. Are there any interesting newcomers?
There are some, but I forget who they are. But where we're from, the scene is really healthy. When we play in Bradford, we get phone calls from all the local bands wanting to support us, and there's so many now. There's who do we have? Andrew probably knows more.
Garden of Remembrance, and there's a Dawn Razor. These are basically just demo bands who are, trying. I wouldn't say it to be My Dying Bride, but it's a similar kind of thing, similar to us in Paradise Lost. The scene really in England has changed since the death metal scene died. Everybody is now basically playing very slow, doomy music, similar to, us and Moonspell, that kind of thing. The black metal scene in England is picking up as well now with the popularity of Cradle of Filth. Well, their T-shirts and covers anyway. So basically, it's not half as good as it used to be. I mean, England was, a couple of years ago, it was raging almost. You couldn't go anywhere without walking into a gig of some kind. But now it's quietened down. I think Bradford and London are the only places where, underground style gigs happen anymore, which is a shame. We generally don't get a chance to go see these bands as well, because when they put these bands on, we are rehearsing. So we've missed out on a lot, and when you come away, you don't know I don't know what's going on. We're missing things back home right now. So I would say that Europe has a better scene right now for the up and coming bands. Most of the bands that we listen to, the demo bands, are not from England. The Europeans and the Scandinavians seems to be, catching us up and getting better than us now. So it's good though, because it all becomes one big melting pot eventually, with all the demo bands taking a little piece of everybody else and just blending it together and getting all sorts of mad sounds.
Normally a tour isn't such a boring thing. What was the funniest thing on this tour that happened to you?
The bass player. He's a notorious womanizer. And he's, Oliver Reed. He is like Oliver Reed. You find out who Oliver Reed is, a famous actor who gets very drunk and does mad things. Well, on this tour, the bass player, he got so drunk one night back there that he went down there when the driver was sleeping and got in the driver's bed with the driver by mistake, and the driver liked it very much.
Must have done, because he stayed in the bunk for 2 hours.
We still have fun, but we shouldn't have said that.
And how do you come along with the other bands?
Okay, yeah. Every time you start a tour, you never know who is in which band, and it's on this tour. There's so many people in so many different bands. when we walk into the venue during the daytime, we don't know who works at the venue or who's in a band, so we just walk down with our heads down and we don't say anything to anybody. But now, I mean, we spoke to the singer, the main guy from Therian last night. He's a nice enough guy. We've been speaking to well, everybody. I think there's only Secret Discovery, I don't think, who we haven't met properly yet. But that will happen, you know, the tour is still very early yet. But yeah, it always starts off a little bit strange, you know, you don't know who's who and you don't know what's what. But by the end of the tour, I'm sure we'll all be great friends.
Yes, and our show is called What's Metal? And we ask every interview partner, yes, what's metal? Is it more music style or it's more lifestyle?
It's a combination, I think. For one, you have to have a distorted guitar. Long hair is optional now, but it has to have guitars in. That's metal for me. I'm a true old metal believer. But nowadays, metal is so widespread. Almost everything that has a guitar could be classed as some form of metal. I mean, this band now, they compared to us, they play quite soft music, but it's still a form of metal. Right down to Burzum, who we are great fans of, that is fucking metal. But anything with a guitar in that is distorted and is designed to be even slightly aggressive, I will consider that heavy metal.
It's a question that never bothers me at all. I don't care what's metal. To me, metal is Iron Maiden, Motorhead, AC/DC, yeah, Saxon and all the rest of that stuff. And everything else is just a diverse part of that sort of core of music. But, you know, it's anything. Metal can be anything you like.
Do you have any other comments you want to give our listeners?
Well, we hope to see you out on tour and have fun, you know, when you come down to the show. The only problem with this show is that we go on so late that everybody's almost pissed out of their minds, you know, extremely drunk when we go on stage, so it's a strange thing. So try to stay sober for us so you can appreciate it if you do come down. And thank you very much for everybody's support.
I heard that you will release a video in the near future.
Yeah, this is it's Music for Nations' idea. It's a video that was filmed about 1 year ago. We did a tour in Poland with Anathema. It was in a big studio, big proper studio, like Top of the Pops and stuff like that. Loads of cameras. It looks fantastic. The only problem with the video is it was for the Angel on the Dark River tour, so there are no new songs on it except the promo video for the song For You, because it's not only is it a live video, it's also got all the promo videos we've ever shot on it, from right back to Symphonaire Infernus. That is also on it. So yeah, it's the first commercial video that we've ever done. So I mean, it'll probably be out before we even get home off this tour, because the tour that we're doing, the Out of the Dark tour, is just the start of almost a world tour for My Dying Bride. We're not going to see England now till the summer, because we do the Out of the Dark, and then we go to America, 1 month supporting Ronnie James Dio, and then we do another month touring up and down the United States doing our own stuff. So we're not going home for a long, long time. So when we get home, the video will probably already be available in the shops.
You will see it before we do.
Doesn't you get problems with your private life and relationships while you're on tours so long?
Yeah, of course. I mean, everybody, you know, we have to live like this for 3 months or more, and it's not how we normally live, but it's just something you have to do. If you want to be in a band and you want to go on tour, this is how you have to do it. It's not a bad thing. Everybody misses home sooner or later, but you have to, I don't know, get on with it. Just get it done.
It's doing small tours is fine, because it's almost like a working holiday. You get away from home for 2 or 3 weeks, and it's pretty cool. You go back with some great stories. But when the tour is this long, it's about 3 months, then you start to lose your mind after a while, and you really want to go home, and you start thinking up ideas, you know, maybe I can break my arm and then we can all go home. Something crazy like that. It runs through your mind, and you think, well, okay, well, maybe we can kill the bass player or something. You know, set fire to him or something like that, and then we can go home. So yeah, it's difficult sometimes, but we have to try and live with it.
It's okay right now because it's still the beginning of the tour. So morale, we call it, like soldiers. Morale is pretty high. Everybody is, quite happy. But in a couple of months' time, 'cause America will be extremely difficult. Obviously, it's a massive place, and some of the drives on that will mean that we are just, sat down for 7 or 8 hours just going from one place to another, which will be extremely boring. So I hope that we are still sane, at least, when we finish that tour. We don't know, because the longest we've been away is 2 months, when we toured with Iron Maiden. And that was very hard towards the end. The beginning was easy, but towards the end it got very hard. So 3 months is a real test for My Dying Bride. I mean, we must be able to do it, because some bands go on tour for an entire year, 6 months, 18-month tours, so it can be done. We can do it.